Audio recording for this meeting has begun.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I can see that there are probably some people that still need to connect, but it's already 6:03 here in Tokyo and 10:03 in Europe, Brussels time. So it's time to start. So welcome, everyone. This is Lucas Coffier. I'm the project manager of the Technology Transfer Helpdesk. Just a couple of homework to let you know that this is how you can reach me. You can see the email from the slide in front of you, and as well as the website to have access to all the resources of the help desk. We always have a recurring survey going on SMEs. So if you have someone that is working for an SME in Europe or yourself, please do go and check the survey and please fill it in. That would be very helpful. And also, if you want to get more news from the help desk, please do register to the newsletter. I can see some background noise. I don't know if there is someone else with a microphone on. Sorry. Without spending too much other time, I would like to introduce the speaker of today for this webinar number 24. By the way, Happy New Year. This is the first webinar of 2019. Today we have Arnie Smolders, a scientist turned entrepreneur. Arnie is driven by curiosity on how complex systems work and figuring out ways to improve them. Hence, he embarked on studies in biology, followed by a PhD research on the biology of aging at Ghent University. Full of ambition and naivete, maybe, Arnie was driven to win a Nobel Prize for discovering how aging can be slowed down to delay onset of society's most severe diseases. Having perceived both the high value of collaborative research as well as how severe fragmentation of the academic ecosystem strongly inhibits top research, Arnie left his golden PhD cage, that's how he says, and embarked on an entrepreneurial endeavor to bring transparency to the R&D ecosystem and facilitate matchmaking, resource sharing, collaboration to enable great ideas to flourish into breakthrough discoveries. 2015, Arnie founded AcademicLabs, and that's how today is making a presentation in this capacity. And after winning multiple startup competitions and selections for diverse startup accelerator programs, closing a first key reference customers and raising over €1 million from investors, AcademicLabs has now grown to an excellent multidisciplinary team of 10 people and is ready to launch its R&D matchmaking and collaboration platform. Today, Arnie, and I'm giving you the floor in a second, is going to show us something that is really important for the users of the help desk, because from probably the month of February, where we will hear more directly from him, we will have a partnership in place, and the users of the platform of the help desk will be able to have access to a lot of new resources, which is really good for everyone. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Arnie. Arnie, welcome. Good morning, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lucas. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to present AcademicLabs and also a bit about collaboration between universities and business and what the difficulties are, what are the barriers, and how can they be solved. And that's where AcademicLabs comes in place. We actually bring transparency in a very fragmented ecosystem, the research ecosystem, to help any company, any scientist that has a great idea, but is somehow blocked by certain barriers, be it access to know-how, technologies, talent, etc., that they can easily identify the right partners to work with so they can realize their breakthrough discoveries. So there's currently a very big shift towards a more collaborative R&D ecosystem between corporates and smaller SMEs working together or acquiring smaller startups and spin-offs, universities and corporates working together, academics working together. And it's all because complexity of R&D is increasing all the time. Every question that has been asked raises new questions, more difficult questions. And these questions require a more multidisciplinary approach to tackle them. So no small company, no big company, no university has all the right know-how internally or the new state-of-the-art technologies, facilities, etc. So there's a more pressing need to work together with complementary partners. And that's between academics and between corporates and between academia and industry. So why do we need each other? So we looked at the report. There was a huge report with more than 14,000 academics and more than 3,000 businesses responding to a very extensive survey. And they asked why businesses collaborate with higher education institutions. And the key reason is having access to new technologies, new knowledge, being able to access the newest discoveries at a very early stage. And that's at the moment pretty difficult, and I'll come back to that later. It's also to improve the innovation capacity of a company, access to funding, talent, and facilities. If you look at academia, why they want to collaborate, the academics themselves, apparently they're very interested in understanding from a business point of view what are challenges, what are things that are happening in society that they can work on, that they can find solutions for. So they want to gain new insights for their research. And if they collaborate with businesses, they have kind of unique insights which no one else has that they can tackle and have more impactful research discoveries. They also want to have their research more used in practice so that their impact increases. They want to address or acquire additional funding. So companies often sponsor research, or by collaborating, governments sponsor the research, etc. If you look at the management of universities, they are mostly interested in gathering more resources, financial resources, because the universities increase all the time. There are more and more researchers, but the government funding is not increasing as fast. So they need more additional funding, be it from Europe, Horizon 2020 projects, for example, or from industry sponsors. And of course, they want to have more talent, PhDs, master students, postdocs moving to companies where they can do something with their knowledge that they built over time during the research. And something very interesting that that came out of the study, if they looked at academics that were not cooperating compared to those that cooperate with businesses, they noticed that the cooperating academics are much more motivated by working together, because they really notice they get very important new insights for the research to increase their own competitiveness. And that's not so, so academics that don't cooperate don't have this clear insight at the moment. And that's one of the key drivers of academics, that once they collaborate, they always remain or they continue collaborating with industry, or they even increase collaborating with industry. And based on our own research for the last 2 years, we did a lot of interviews with both smaller, bigger companies, with universities, with business developers, academics, university leadership. And what we noticed was the key drivers are for corporations having early access to the newest discoveries, which is pretty hard, de-risk R&D by externalizing the more risky phase of the research, to accelerate the whole R&D process, but also to transition to new kind of topics. Let's say the oil and gas industry is getting more and more into the energy, or becoming energy players, but they don't have much expertise in batteries and electricity capabilities, etc. So they lack the internal know-how, so they need to acquire technologies, know-how from other companies, but also mainly from universities. Access to facilities and state-of-the-art technologies is important to do some breakthrough innovations, also simply to enhance the innovation potential and to hire unique talent. For example, postdocs that are active in academia, leading a group with PhDs in food, for example, and other PhDs in chemistry, and other ones in pure biology. So they are they have this kind of multidisciplinary talent, which is very important if you bring them on board in your company, that they can manage these multidisciplinary teams within a company or to drive companies towards a more multidisciplinary way of working, which increases their competitiveness and innovation potential. If you look at universities, the most important thing is having need for funding to do breakthrough research. They are looking also internally, they are often not very efficient in how resources are being exploited. So within a university, many groups may have very expensive equipment, but only used like 10% of the time, while others need it, but don't have access to it or don't have the resources. And they simply can't find each other, even within the same university and even within the same building. That's something I noticed myself too during my PhD. New insights, so like I said before, having new insights from industry, but also access to data, and that's often in more IT-related disciplines. They always need data, and companies have the data on which universities can build to improve algorithms, etc., to create solutions for these companies eventually. If academics want to have more funding from the government, they need to be competitive. And to be competitive in these grant proposals, they need to have unique angles. They have to be adopt an approach that is different than others and more innovative. And often by working with industry or other academics, that improves their competitiveness. It's also important for the career success, obviously, and to expand the network. Because once you're working with industry and you expand your network, you learn more and more, gain more and more insights, and you can transfer more and more know-how, technologies towards this industry and increase also the funding for the research team. So what stops them then to collaborate? From this big report, there were a few barriers. One of the most important one is a cultural barrier, and that's someone that I think everyone knows or is aware of. Both kind of organizations or people speak a different kind of language. Scientists don't speak business language and the other way around. Although this is increasing or improving in recent years, more and more business developers at universities are being hired that have some experience as a PhD student and have experience in industry. There are some different motivations between industry and universities, but this is also something where there's a lot of attention towards this, a lot of studies how to improve this, with the tech transfer offices that are professionalizing also in this way. There are some other internal barriers, bureaucracy or funding barriers, obviously. Different way of looking at what is most important result for academia. It's publications. For industry, it's adopting a technology and preferably maybe in a patent or without competitors knowing about it. But the most important barrier is actually the lack of awareness. So businesses are not often aware about all the available research activities or the offerings. Universities also don't know what businesses are interested in or whether which businesses might be interested in adopting their know-how or technologies. It's very difficult often to find the most or very suitable collaboration partner. Many people stick with the same people they already know because that's convenient, it's familiar, but this often doesn't lead to the best results. And often there's no easy or appropriate initial contact person within the university. And the key reason for this is that the whole ecosystem is extremely fragmented. There are thousands of universities, each with their own portals, and each of these portals are very difficult to navigate, often not up to date. Personal networks are very limited, so if you rely on this, you only look at the known, but you don't know about the known unknowns and even more the unknown unknowns. So there's a huge potential out there in the whole world, but only a very, very, very small fraction is being acquired or looked into. And that's obviously something we want to address. So at the moment, there's a very limited reach if you want to collaborate with academia or the other way around. It's a slow approach by connecting with the right partners. It's often ad hoc by accidentally meeting people on conferences. And so there's a huge opportunity because there's a lot more that can be done, a lot more ideas that can be realized for innovations, but are not being realized at the moment. And that's something we want to address. One of the key problems is that academics market themselves in a way that is mostly addressing other academics, so via publications. So academics read publications of others, but many businesses don't read these publications. And also with the publications, you have the problem of looking into a rear mirror view. So publications are actually the results being published more or less 5 years after the idea has been conceptualized. So if you look at publications, you're always looking, you're actually missing what's being done at the moment. You're missing the cutting edge. And that's dangerous if you're competing with other parties that are having access to what's being done at the moment, that have extensive network of collaborators and scouts all over the world. So at the moment, we look at publication database. There are lots of publication databases, a lot of tools being built purely on publications, which all have this primary fault of this rear mirror view. Patents have the same problem with publications. If you go to conferences, it's a very inefficient in a timely manner. So it's only a few times a year there's a relevant conference. You only meet a few people within this conference, etc. And as we said before, it's critical to go beyond this silo approach and to find the good ideas wherever they are and have access to them immediately in a very easy way. So it's important to be able to structure this process of acquiring all that know-how and reach out to the right people when you need it. So what we've done is we talked with lots of big corporations, amongst others big pharmaceutical companies, and we asked them how or what are key reasons or what are key reasons for reaching out to academia or looking towards tools, solutions to find expertise or technologies in academia. And one of the reasons is, for example, what's currently being done on a certain topic, on cancer immunotherapy, so they have access to the cutting edge of this research field. Another question they have, and that's more the business intelligence teams, is what regions or which universities are very active in certain areas. And then the business development team, they often have questions like who may be working on a certain technology or has a technology that they can sell. And preferably, do they have a business mindset, these academics? Because that's important if we want to collaborate with them. So we asked very practically, how do you do that? How do you collaborate, or how do you reach out to the right parties? So what they explain is that they bottom-up acquire from the R&D teams, for example, the list of needs and challenges that they have. And this is being used by the R&D director or partnership director. And what they do is they reach out to personal networks or via personal networks of the people they're working at the company, which is a very limited approach. You only reach a few people, and it's very, it takes a lot of time to acquire what they're working on at the moment. They go to conferences, which is also not very efficient, and also reach only limited potential. They go to websites of universities, but that's not a very pleasant experience with all these different websites, all these different structures. The search engines don't work often very well. The information is out of date, etc. So it's hard to rely on that. And if you look at publications, you have the problem it's not providing information on who's doing what at the moment. So what they often do is they reach out to business developers or the tech transfer directors at universities, and they share this list of challenges and needs with this university. And then they need to search internally who's working on one of these challenges and who might be providing a certain solution for them. So they sent this request, they look internally which professors might be relevant, so they sent this list of questions to these professors. And these professors, then they have to fill in a form with what is their mission, what are they heading towards, what is the key research topics they are working on at the moment. How does the team look like, how big is it, how multidisciplinary, how senior, do they have experience working with the industry or not? What are the key projects they've been involved in? Do they have like these very important European projects showing that they have a certain level of quality? Do they have stopped publications recently, etc., which techniques do they use? So they have to fill in all this information, and they get this question often by lots of different companies, and every time there's something different. So it's very burdensome and a lot of administration to add all this information over and over again. So then there's business developer or tech transfer director acquires all this information, all these forms. He selects them and it's being sent to this partnership director. He then prints it as a PDF. He's highlighting the relevant ones, and then he sends the relevant ones to the right people internally. So and they can then review these documents, these forms, and then reach out to the right person at the right time. And the whole process takes 3 to 12 months. So that's extremely long, especially in a space where every minute counts in R&D, where it's very competitive, especially in pharma and biotech. And with this approach, they only reach 5 to 15 universities. So this could be done so much better, and that's what we looked at. So we thought, okay, what if this professor doesn't need to fill in a form over and over again, but they have like one page, one profile that is very comprehensive, that has all the information, that is mostly automatically pre-populated, so they don't have to do much work in it, and they can delegate some work to complete it to some other team members or business developers. And what if all these academics also have a full profile of themselves in the same way? So that the business developer or tech transfer director, if they have a request, they can immediately send a list of the relevant ones to this director. And in a few weeks' time, they get this, the people in the company have the right information. But even better, what if this R&D director or the R&D scientist or the business developers within this company can search immediately when they need it and find the right research groups based on all that information. And that's what we're building, so that they, instead of months, reaching just a few universities, they can instantly, whenever they need it, find the right research partners with all the information they need without having to wait for this very lengthy and burdensome process, which is also very interesting for the professors and the academics, because they don't have to do any effort, and they get inbound requests of potential collaborators providing new funding, new insights, new data, etc. So that's what we basically built. Corporations and universities can easily find each other via a very effective search engine. They can communicate. It can be just sharing contact details, or they can send messages through our platform. They can build communities or consortia where they can easily communicate, share documents, etc. The professors or the research groups enjoy a full profile for all this very high visibility without much effort. They can use it also as a website, and the same holds true for the individual academics. And it's also interesting for universities to know what are the interactions with all our content, with all our teams, who's interested in them, what kind of labs are most being collaborative with industry, which answer most to requests from industry, etc. And also addressing the barrier of the cultural barrier of not speaking the same language. We're also looking towards a solution where a small SME that has a problem, a challenge, but doesn't know the right solution, that they can ask this question, and they can select the universities, and we send them to the right business developers who speak their language, and they can then internally look at which professor might be able to formulate a solution for that challenge, and then answer back the solution, or bring them in touch with the right professor, and mediate also conversations if needed. So in this way, also the smaller SMEs not having this research experience can be helped with their challenges. So in this way, we move from a process that takes months to a process that can take literally just minutes. And they reach hundreds, potentially, of universities instead of just 10. So that's the value that we, with AcademicLabs, aim to provide. So just as an example, if we look at the universities, for example, Oxford University, Tokyo University, etc., each have their own portal, which is also very fragmented. And today, in 2019, still this is a problem. So what we do is, based on the request we got from companies, we built this one-stop shop where you can find all these universities with all these research groups, all their research topics they're currently working on, services they're providing, technology offers, publications they have, the people, the project, the clinical trials, the patents, etc., etc. So we bring together all that information in one place. So it's like a layer on top of all these different silo portals, and not only on top of the silo portals of the universities, but also on all the different publication databases, the patent databases, the project databases, etc., and the tech offer database. So you can find all this information then easily in one place. So you can easily access whatever you need and get in touch with the right collaborators. And on top of that, it's also a social layer. So you can easily communicate, you can build communities, topic communities or project consortia, and exchange information and know-how to advance your research or R&D. And the key, the central part of Academic Labs is basically that we really focus on research groups, and we bring together all the relevant information per research group, be it the mission and the goals, so the future of the research group, the collaboration interest and the research interest, the current research, so the topics they're working at the moment, the projects, the techniques they use, the team, and what have they been done in the past. So what are the past collaborators, their output in publications, patents, spin-offs, projects, clinical trials, etc. So that enables anyone within an organization, be it small or large, to easily identify their ideal scientific partner, not just a partner that could be interesting because they already know them. So here's a screenshot of our platform. It's maybe a bit small, but I'll give you a demo after this presentation. So you can basically search with full text search on our platform. You can use different operators like AND or wildcards, etc. You can boost certain terms that are more important. So you can easily find the right research groups or any of the other data categories. Then you get a list of search results, and you can easily click on each search result to go to their profile or to the full information. You can also filter. So you can filter on countries, on organizations, and depending on each category, you can filter on additional things. What you can also do is create kind of lists. So to organize your search, you can create lists, for example, a list of potential Horizon 2020 partners. You can do your queries, you can bring them together all in one list, which you can share internally with your team, for example. And then you can invite them to one consortium environment on our platform, which you can set up in just 2 minutes. And then you bring together all the parties where they can easily find each other, exchange thoughts, exchange know-how, work together on a project proposal, ask questions to each other, etc. So it's the whole flow of finding partners, evaluating them, organizing all your research, connecting with the right parties, and then collaborate. And that's the process we want to streamline. So we're now launching in one of the next weeks, and what will be searchable during after Q1. We now have about 90 universities in our database, but at the end of this quarter, we will have the top 200 European universities with their research groups. So it's more than 40,000 research groups and professors working on more than 50,000 topics at the moment. We have all the European projects since 1998 that are searchable on our platform, which we also aim to link to the right persons and groups and universities. We also have the Horizon 2020 and IMI funding calls, so you can easily find also the funding calls, find partners for these funding calls, etc. Clinical trials will be searchable. We have 30 million PubMed publications in our platform, and we expand it to the 70 other million publications soon. We will have patents searchable, and we are looking towards other information that is relevant. For example, preprints, so what is not yet published, or conference proceedings, or technology offers. And we also like to expand beyond Europe to the US, to Asia, to Australia, etc., to cover the whole world eventually. So what are current solutions we have for businesses? One is being able to find academics, so beyond the personal network or key opinion leaders. So really focused based on finding current activities of research groups, which is unique in this world. You can't easily find that on any other platform. So what they are currently doing, what are the shared goals, the mission statements, etc., and have a full understanding of these potential partners. Second, You can build smaller project consortia, for example, for Horizon 2020 project consortia or other ones. Or you can actually build topic communities. For example, a data science community can be set up on our platform with 500 research groups and 500 businesses that easily communicate with each other, find each other to exchange thoughts, ideas, and maybe build smaller project consortia within this larger community. And then you can also use it for more business intelligence reasons to evaluate what are hotspots in certain regions and universities to potentially collaborate with, or to do strategic investments in certain areas. For example, if as a pharmaceutical company we want to focus more on neurodegenerative diseases, which cities should we go to build a center? And then we see, okay, in London, for example, there is a lot of activity on this topic, so maybe it's best to invest there. If you look at future things that we are building or aim to build based on requests we get from the industry, one is to facilitate the recruitment, to find really interesting multidisciplinary talent, find them at PhD defenses, understand when they are available, etc. But also to facilitate communication internally within a company. So you can easily use it as a kind of CRM, a contact relationship management system for all your contacts with academia. So let's say one department is very active with certain research groups and collaborations. Other teams might be also working with them, but they are not aware of it. So they can easily share information about these are the ones we are collaborating with. We have worked together with these. These parties are less interesting to collaborate with because of this and that. So you facilitate and streamline the communication internally to be more efficient. And a very interesting one, which we also noticed when we were at Bio Japan, is that companies should be able to share challenges, non-confidential of course, which we can distribute to the right academics and smaller companies, so they could eventually provide solutions for these challenges or get in touch to work together on these. So that's something we are looking towards building too. If you look at universities, I'm almost at the end of the presentation. If you look at universities, for them it's very interesting, our platform, to attract more funding and fully leverage internal assets. So we help them to provide global visibility on all their research groups, their institutes, their researchers, all their current and past research, the services, the technology offers, and the interests. Another interesting part is clustering. So what they basically can do is cluster instantly all groups, all research related to photonics or data science or cancer research. So it just takes them a few minutes. They can bundle everything together, which helps to provide a one-stop shop environment and contact points for industry or other academics, but also for internal matchmaking and communication. Then there are communication tools that we provide to facilitate communication within a university. Our platform can of course be used to find partners and build consortia around funding calls, etc. They can use it for sharing services and resources, so access to underutilized equipment or facilities, which could be interesting even within the same university, for contract research, consulting, tech offers, etc. And then some other things like we're looking towards is internal crowdsourcing and sharing events, PhD defenses, etc. What we eventually want to build is more an end-to-end streamlined process, or facilitate end-to-end process of research collaboration, so that you can easily find funding or project calls, that you can find or attract partners, then build a consortium, streamline the collaboration within the consortium, and easily have visibility on the outcomes to again attract new partners. And maybe not all steps are easy to do yourself, so that's why we also have service providers on our platform that can be found and get and contacted to help you in, for example, grant writing or finding partners, or streamline the project management, or communicating the outcomes of the research. So the whole ecosystem can be brought together on this platform to facilitate the whole collaboration. Sorry. And just to end this report that I mentioned at the beginning, what was very interesting to see is that from the academics that are active in collaborating with industry, 98% plans to maintain its level of collaboration with industry or increase its collaboration with industry. They often work already with more than one company. So this is a trend that is increasing all the time because of this. And the same holds true for businesses. It's even 99%. So everyone who starts a collaboration, you could say everyone who starts a collaboration with academia or business is a stayer. They think it's successful, they think it's addictive or provides results. So they want to continue with that. And if you look at the non-cooperating academics and businesses, it's only a small fraction that is not interested at all to collaborate with the other party. So it means more than 80% is thinking about it or is planning to do it or wants to learn more about it. So it's interesting to see that the space of collaboration between industry and business is increasing all the time. Now the last slide, so what we see also in the study is that they are not only continuing the collaboration, but they are also recommending it to all their peers, their colleagues. So I don't know if you know the NPS scores, so Net Promoter Scores. So they basically ask a question in the survey, how likely is it that you would recommend to a colleague to engage in university business collaboration and R&D? And you have a scale from 1 to 10, and those that answer with 9 or 10, they are often promoters, so they really spread the message around. They really tell their colleagues. The detractors with a score of 6 or less, they are more or less negative about it. So what you see is that there are a lot of people extremely high promoters, which is a very positive sign. So it means that there's a lot of companies and academics recommending it to others. So it's continuously growing. Those that are not happy with it, it's often because they are misaligned at the beginning when they start a collaboration. So it's very important also coming out of the study to have shared goals, to have a clear understanding. What is your goal? What is my goal? How does it resonate? If it doesn't resonate, it's better not to start. And also to commit, to make clear commitments, both parties, and hold yourself to these commitments. And often another result is you start with people you already know, because that's often easier. But these are often not the perfect collaborators for your specific case, because research is so specific. So that often leads to a problem and to not see the results that they wish, which could result in a more negative sentiment about the collaboration. So to conclude, AcademicLabs is a platform that brings real-time transparency in the scientific ecosystem for validated partner discovery. And like Luca mentioned just before this presentation, so we're going to partner with the EU-Japan Tech Transfer Helpdesk to create more visibility for all this research, for all these research groups, and to facilitate for industry to identify the right collaborators. So what we will do is an integration with the platform, where on that website you could see how many results for your certain query, and then you can see the results on the AcademicLabs platform with a few limitations, and that's something I will show now in a minute in a demo. Evilde, can you share the screen? Thank you. Okay, so this is the interface of our platform, our AcademicLabs platform. I'm showing now our test environment where the latest functionality is. So basically you see 24,000 research groups or units, 25,000 people, research topics, publications, projects, clinical trials. So we didn't show all the data here in this test environment, so we have more than 30 million publications at the moment, but it's to show the platform now. So I'll give you an example of a potential query. Let's say I want to find something related to nano and photonics. So then you see results on this platform for everything with the two terms nano, or an extension of this term nano, like nanotechnology, and photonics. So the terms are also highlighted, so you can find all the research groups with some information within their profile that matches these terms. And you can then filter, for example, you can see how many results there are per country. For example, in Germany there and UK there are a lot. If I would choose, for example, to check the results in Belgium, I select it and then I have 24 results in Belgium. Then you can further continue filtering with universities. So let's say I want to check it in Kent University. Then I see 6 results. I can browse the results. I can, for example, click on this group, which has the group leader Kevin Braakmans. If I click on the results, I can see the profile of this research group, and still the terms I'm searching for are highlighted to facilitate in the discovery of what you want to find. In such a profile, so basically what we now did is we pre-populated this profile with information from different sources. So you can find a short mission statement to understand, okay, what are they really focusing on? And that's very important, like I said before, to have these shared goals, the same direction you want to go to. And then you have certain topics they are currently working on. For example, unraveling biological barriers to nanomedicines, if I click on it, I can see what they're doing related to that. And it gives a more view on what they're currently doing. For example, it is our aim to enable a more efficient and rational development of improved carrier metals for the materials for the delivery of nucleic acids. So this gives a good idea of, okay, what are they working on now? Is this potentially interesting for us? Yes, then I can reach out, and then I can simply click show email. I get the email address, I can reach out, or I can go to the website of that research group to find more information, or I can click to on the profile of the individual, of the professor, the group leader, or the contact person to see more information about this person. I could also save it for later reference. So first I want to find all potentially interesting partners. So I can save them all to a list. For example, nanotubes. So now it's added to my list, and I can afterwards look at my list and reach out to the right parties. So you see the research topics. There's other information that they eventually can enter themselves. Well, in the longer run, we will also extract that from their publications, etc. So we can automatically pre-populate it. You can find more information where they're located. But you can also find information about their publications, for example. So this group has 105 publications. You can even search within these publications. So let's say if I search for photonics, which is very broad now, or for nano, there's one publication really addressing the term nano. So I can then go to that publication. You can also filter on different kind of things. So you can see, okay, the journals that they have been publishing in. You can see the countries of their collaborators on these publications to find out about their network, and the universities with whom they collaborate in these publications. So this helps also in getting a better idea of who these people are, or how this potential partner is active internationally in collaborations. If I go back to the search results, I could also look at other information. For example, the current research topics related to nano and photonics, which is, for example, nanocarbon photonics. I can find very specific information about this topic this group is currently working on. I can go to the profile again, photonics laboratory, and find more information about it. You could also search for publications, and if you compare it with other publication search engines, it has the advantage, sorry, the connection is bad. Okay, it has the advantage, which I will show you in a minute. If I click on this publication, I can see more metadata like the abstract, the date, journal title, often there's a link to the full text. But I can also see if the authors already have a profile in AcademicLabs. I can see from which groups they are, and I can easily visit their profile. So I can immediately see, okay, this is an interesting publication, but this is a potentially interesting partner, and then I check it, okay, they are working on these topics, okay, this is pretty interesting for me. So this helps in identifying the right partners based on publication search. It also enables you to see, okay, which are top research groups based on their publications related to this term. So you can see, okay, these groups are having 15 publications or 13 on this very specific query. So that helps you identifying who are the experts. You could also see the countries or the organization that published most on this. And the same is actually true for projects and for clinical trials. So the connection is slow, I notice now. Okay, I'll show you one more thing, a few more things. So if, like I shared before, business intelligence can use it to identify hotspots. For example, I want to see for this query which countries are very active. So I click View All. To make it easy, I collapse all countries. I want to sort on those with the most results at the top and only show countries with results. For example, in Europe, then I see Germany and UK have lots of groups working on that topic. In Austria and Ireland, there are fewer of these. So it's probably most interesting to look at these countries to start collaborations or do investments. You could do the same with organizations. For example, View All. You can collapse all the countries, sort on the number of results, only show academic organizations. And then you could see, for example, in Belgium, which university is great at it or has most activity related to that. And you can find this information per country and organization for research groups, but you could do it also for research topics, publications, projects, etc. So you can really use this to identify interesting hotspots. I'm going to share just two more things now. An example of a full profile or more or less full profile. So this is a demo profile. So you can eventually filter on information like which kind of research or unit. Can be spin-offs that you can filter on, startups, university research groups, or corporate R&D units. So you can add this information and then filter on this kind of unit to identify the best potential partners for your case. You can find research interests and disciplines of this group based on how many people within this team have this interest or discipline. What activities are they doing? Is it fundamental research, or do they do applied research or contract research, clinical research? Which organisms are they working on? Which diseases? Which sectors, therapeutic areas, medical technologies, etc. So they can easily add this information. You can easily add topics. You can easily share services. Could be instruments, consulting, technology offers, etc. One more thing I'd like to show is in community. For example, the Leuven Cancer Institute is an institute we're working with, and they wanted to have a platform to bring together their 60 or the 50 research groups with all the information, and that they can easily have like a one-stop shop for external partners with up-to-date information to find the right partners, to create visibility for the team, for the members of the institute, and to facilitate discussions internally. So they can use this community as being set up in just 2 minutes. They can add like blocks of text or figures or links to documents, for example. You can find all the members. So here's 61 units. You can search within this community to find the right ones. You can see all the people within this community, all the services that they are offering. You can filter on the type of services, the research topics, the projects, eventually the publications, etc. What is not there yet, but what we will add is that you can share what you are looking for. For example, I'm looking for expertise in X, or I'm looking for this kind of technology, so that you can easily find or attract people that have this kind of expertise or technology. You can add multiple pages with more information. For example, here they added 4 focus groups, which are each smaller consortia or communities on their own end. So they can add some key information here, but then a link to its own community page on AcademicLabs with all this information of the members and the communication facilities. So this helps them in presenting this institute as a one-stop shop with multiple sub-clusters. And then you have a discussion space where you can have questions internally asked by and answered by other people internally, but it could also be a company asking a question to all the members of the Cancer Institute, who then can answer this without other companies seeing what your question was or seeing the answer. So in this way, it helps you leveraging the whole network of intelligence within such a community or an institute. And last thing I want to show is with these communities, it's very simple. You can create open communities accessible to anyone, or you can simply say, okay, the discussions is fully private, so only the members of the community can see this, etc. And the same with every page on this community. So that's basically what we have now with our platform, and it's expanding every day with new data, with new functionality. What we will do with this partnership with the EU-Japan Tech Transfer Helpdesk is what I'm going to show now. So if you search on the website of the Helpdesk, you will see a number of results for your query, and you will click on a button which directs you to a certain results page on AcademicLabs. And you see here at the right side, I'm not signed in or registered. So this is the page you will see, or the results you will see on our platform if you're not registered. So if I do this query again, nano and photonics, I will see not all results, but I can see the top 3 results. But the interesting thing is, for example, I'm interested in, okay, I see UK is very active. I click on UK, and I still see top 3 results in UK now. And I see, okay, I'm interested in Cambridge, which is only 8 results. And I see the 3 most relevant results in Cambridge. So in this way, you can still find the most relevant information without need to sign in or to have a subscription, for example, to have full access. And you can even see all results if you do a more specific query to find whatever you need. And it's the same for every kind of data. So you can do it for publications, projects, topics, etc. So you will always see relevant results to help you in your query. So if you have any questions on how this could be useful for your company or your university or cluster organization, we're very happy to jump on a call and a demo and look how we can help. And we're looking forward to launching this partnership with the EU-Japan Tech Transfer Helpdesk. If you have any questions, please, happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnie. This is Luca again. For those that connected later on during the presentation, thank you very much for the very thorough presentation that you gave us. We still have 5 minutes left. I will leave a couple of seconds or minutes to someone in the audience that might have a question for you. I had a question for you that you already answered. It was about what kind of data we will be able to show. It's important to say again, this is a very important partnership for us because again, and for you guys as well, because it gives access to our users and viewers from our platform to additional data, which is what we want. So now combining the resources we already have with the ones that we will be showing with you guys, really people have no excuse to innovate. We have millions of patent documents, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of publications, as you said, etc., etc. So it's a great partnership that we are happy to endorse, and we really look forward to start working with you and allow the users to have access to more and more resources. I can see that there is a question from the audience. I don't know if you want to read it or you want me to read it.
Okay, I'll read it. So Ivana asks how to overcome the issue of openness and secrecy in the case where scientists are engaged in industry-sponsored research, which often has a limited disclosure of research findings, methods, etc. In that case, how to find a suitable research group? Very good question. Of course, confidential information can't be shared on our platform. What can be shared, and often there are some parts of the outcomes or some parts of a collaboration that can be shared more on a higher level. But the key is, if you're looking for partners, it's to understand more or less what they're working on at the moment, and that shouldn't disclose per se any very specific details. So no details of very specific, let's say, targets biotech scientists worked on with a biotech firm or a pharmaceutical company. It can be just like 1 or 2 levels higher, which still is extremely useful to find the right partners. And often you will see them based on the publication outlets or some other details that this information about this target or some expertise is already available via another source. So it's finding this balance. And what could be useful is with these communities that we enable universities and companies to create, is that it's not per se information that should be visible. You could also ask a question as a business. And then a scientist who didn't add this information to his profile could respond to that privately, even without on our platform. So in a direct phone call, for example, to share some information, knowing that they can address the problem or the challenge of this company asking or searching for certain information. Does that answer your question, Ivana?
In the meantime, you also received another question from Minut.
Yeah. So how do you ensure the database is well updated? Because there's a lot of information. That's of course one of the critical things. So there are different kinds of data. One kind of data is available on like open public data sources like publications, projects, etc. So this information, we gather all that information, we put it in our own database, we connect it to the profiles, and we have constant monitoring of every day of these data sources. So that part is already up to date. Other data we collect from other sources, from university databases, from websites. We are working on integrations with university management systems to ensure there's like a two-way data integration between our platforms or database. So if someone updates something in the database of the university or the website, it's updated on AcademicLabs and the other way around, whatever is the easiest for the academic. Plus, we have like a network of dozens of people and accompanied by our technology that helps us gather information, up-to-date information from universities and research teams, as well as other sources. So we constantly monitor what's out there. We focused first on the top 200 European universities. We are expanding that to other regions eventually, and we will update information if it's not updated by the researchers themselves, because that's key. We incentivize as much as possible the full research teams to update themselves, but make it as easy as possible by automating it as much as possible. So you could say we aim to become a kind of LinkedIn for labs or research or R&D ecosystem, which provides lots of incentives to make sure information is up to date.
Thank you, Arne. You have been very, very exhaustive. And also, yes, you also got an answer from Minut that is happy with your answer. I would anticipate probably
than I expect.
Yeah, sorry. I would like to maybe anticipate some of the questions that might also arise now about the availability of the video or the presentations. The answer is yes. Video will be available, will be uploaded on our YouTube channel as usual in a couple of days, and also the presentation will be available. There is a very last question about Johannes. You want to answer?
Yeah. We will launch our platform where you will have immediate access to our platform. It's a couple of weeks, maybe earlier. But you can also always reach out. I'm happy to share a more specific demo for your specific case and discuss how we can help you in the best possible way.
Excellent.
Right,
just one last word to invite everyone present today to first to thank you, Arne, for the very nice and complete presentations for today, and we will definitely send an email to all the members of the help desk through the mailing list when the new service will be available, and the partnership will be effective. And also I would like to invite everyone to participate to the next webinar, which is going to be on February 22nd. We have a speaker that has been with us a couple of times, at least, Efrat Kaznik, a lecturer from Stanford University. Since she's in the US, in California, it will be the afternoon in Europe. It will be late evening here in Japan. So you will be receiving an invitation, a link very shortly in a couple of days about the next webinar. I hope you can join, and please share it. And again, I would like to thanks Arnie for his presentation, his availability, and we really look forward to having the next webinar and to start the partnership with you guys. A good day to everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Luca, for organizing this and this opportunity. All the best, everyone.
And of course,